Welcome to Smash Fiction, the podcast where we pit two or more fictional characters against one another in a battle of strength, or wits, or what is essentially hide-and-go-seek, and see who would win. This week, Carmen Sandiego versus Waldo. Space. In space. Really, Liz, already?
That's all it takes.
In space.
You had me at space.
In space, no one can hear you lament your ruined reputation. Or at least that's how Boba Fett tries to see it, as he scrolls through his Spacebook notifications, reading all the nasty comments left on a particularly embarrassing photo of him falling into the Sarlacc. He escaped, obviously, but since then, work's been hard to come by for this hunter of bounties. Just as he begins to untag himself from the ruinous photo, his space Google alert informs him of two bounties coincidentally occurring, one right after the other. They're both for humans, both currently on the only inhabited planet in a rather boring system way out in the space boondocks. The first bounty is for a woman most known by the name of Carmen Sandiego. Thief and former detective for Acme, she has gone rogue, and Acme has tried and failed multiple times to apprehend her. It appears as though the Acme Detective Agency has finally decided to stop placing all their bets on their child detectives, and is now looking to bounty hunters for assistance, with the express condition that Sandiego must be returned to them alive and unmaimed. No disintegrations. This is a children's detective agency after all, they're not monsters. The second bounty is for a man named Wally, though he has many aliases, the most common known being Waldo. He may not be human, though he looks just like one. This bounty was placed by a mysterious entity known only by the name of Oddlaw. This Oddlaw requires Waldo's walking stick as well as Waldo, and both are to be delivered relatively unharmed, especially the stick. The planet they are on is labeled as primitive, and so is in a protected sector of space. Though Boba Fett's current ship, the Slave 2, can stay under the Space Police's radar for a short time, the longer he chooses to stay in and around Earth, the more he'll risk capture. To make things trickier, both marks, Sandiego and Waldo, appear to be masters of elusiveness. Boba Fett decides he'll try for one of these bounties, but whom of these two marks will be the easiest to capture is not yet apparent. The clock's ticking on this bounty hunter and his reputation. Which of these slippery sneaks is the best at getting lost in a crowd and staying lost? I'm way too impatient to figure it out myself, so I, Kit Mulcairn, will be your impartial judge for this match. Advocating for Carmen Sandiego are Colin Mulcairn.
My face is sweet, but I'm unsavory. Watch out for my knack with knavery.
Is that a quote from the game?
Yep.
And Miles Schneiderman.
Fett's on the chase and his reputation's history.
And advocating for Waldo are Dan Mulcairn.
Just to clarify, Dan Mulcairn is what I'm known as in the States. The UK knows me as Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh.
In my dreams, you are Eggs Benedict Cumberbatch.
And Liz Logan.
This is not the Waldo you're looking for.
In order to determine which side goes first, I threw both teams into a labyrinth with the purpose of staying alive and finding their way out first. And unfortunately for them, it was not the David Bowie kind of labyrinth.
Aww.
Team Carmen thought they were slick and brought a ball of yarn with them to help keep track of where they've been. However, they soon found that the Minotaur had used the yarn to make some lovely hoof socks and argued over whose idea it was to bring yarn instead of thread. Haven't you read the goddamn story? Team Waldo, on the other hand, knew that a labyrinth only has one entrance and exit without any branching paths, and they simply ran through it. The Minotaur gave them no trouble, as he was now in good spirits over his warm, cozy hooves. Team Waldo, start your bullshitting engines.
Oh boy. Carmen Sandiego has a lot of things going for her, and her skills as a criminal and a thief are unquestioned. But this isn't a match of thievery, it's a match of evasion and hiding. And as we see time and time again, Waldo could best be described as a hiding elemental, one who changes the world around him so that he's less noticeable and less able to be spotted.
Oh my god, what?
Yep, the engines have indeed
You
started.
are starting off with the
Strap in,
bullshittiest
Miles.
of bullshit.
0 to 60 bullshitting, I love it.
My esteemed competition today may mention Carmen Sandiego's criminal buddies. Well, It may surprise you to know that Waldo has his own little circle of friends. He's often seen with the twin sisters Wilma and Wendy, both of whom dress in the same white and red attire. To confuse and confound things even more for Boba Fett, there's the Waldo Watchers, a huge, world-spanning group who also wear the same outfit and turn up in the same general area as Waldo, making spotting and pursuing him a frustrating near impossibility. Carmen Sandiego may have some punnily named and largely inept criminals at her disposal, but most of those criminals only serve to drop painfully obvious clues about where Carmen is and what she's planning. And she certainly doesn't have an army of lookalikes and decoys in her retinue. How many times do you think Boba Fett can handle chasing down the 20th freaking person in red and white stripes, only to find out that it's yet another Waldo lookalike before he decides to target the much easier mark? But let's not get too hung up on these characters' allies. What about the characters themselves and their actual ability to remain hidden? On the surface, what we have here are two characters who are known for hiding, who are known for evading notice and for making themselves deliberately difficult to find. That's certainly true for Carmen Sandiego. She's an international criminal after all, and given Acme's reactionary policy, she's almost perpetually in a state of having committed a crime and being in hiding from the authorities. But what about Waldo? Why is he so freaking hard to find all the time? Unlike Carmen Sandiego, Waldo doesn't really have a reason to be hiding. Actually, take a look at your average page from a Where's Waldo book. You see Waldo there? Actually, hang on, where is he? No, come on.
Right there.
Come on, you
Don't worry,
stripey.
right there.
Miles, that's a candy cane. Come on, you stripey bastard, where are you? No, that's a barbershop pole. Oh, no, that's a lamppost with some white and red streamer. Okay, so I can't find him, but picture in your head what he usually looks like in these pictures. He's standing out in the open, usually looking at the camera and waving. He's not hiding. He actively wants to be found. It's like you're a friend trying to meet up with Waldo in a crowded place, and he's trying to get your attention, but you just keep looking past him. See, that's the cruel irony of Waldo's ability. He's basically always invisible, or at the very least, the unwanted beneficiary of a supernaturally high stealth roll. He's very difficult to spot under even the best of circumstances, even when he wants to be seen. But right here, right now, he has a very, very compelling reason to stay hidden and stay out of sight. We put this match together because these characters are both known for hiding. But I argue that we have yet to actually see Waldo try to hide. By setting up this match, we have effectively acknowledged that Carmen, at her best, is roughly as good as Waldo not trying at all. What happens when he's actually trying to avoid someone? Answer, a block of Carmen Sandiego-shaped carbonite.
Oh my
right.
god. How did that taste coming out of your mouth? What kind of shit? What was it?
Like
Was it like
gilded,
pure bullshit?
like
Was it-
gilded shit.
We're halfway through. So
Carmen is a red Ferrari in a sea of silver Priuses, whereas Waldo nowadays looks like just another hipster that claims to be from Brooklyn. As Dan touched on a bit, between Waldo's lookalikes and his attire, he looks like an average 20-something who just doesn't want to be chained down, man. Without even trying, he will be easily blending in wherever he goes, while Carmen Sandiego will elicit statements like, "Why the fuck is that lady wearing a trench coat?" Part of the process in Carmen Sandiego is noting a suspect's physical attributes, and since she is such a prolific criminal, I'm pretty sure the system is going to be full of descriptions of her, noting her striking red outfit, and since her hat is about as big as one meant for the Kentucky Derby, she won't be hard to spot in a crowd. I mean, Waldo's clothes alone are the colors of the most often used ones for country flags. He could just be an exceptionally patriotic citizen of some country he is in, especially if we're in America. I mean, he might even be mistaken for a flag. Even his random objects that he carries can hide themselves. The fact that Waldo has hidden so well in areas and scenes that are so far removed from what he is dressed like, for example, the Jurassic Games with dinosaurs, a beach, sporting events, just goes to show that Waldo can so easily fade into the background. All Boba Fett has to do is hack a basic criminal database, and he's going to end up being rewarded with descriptions of both Carmen and her modus operandi. He could develop a hologram, which is not out of the realm of Star Wars tech, of a famous landmark, and Carmen will fall right into his trap. I mean, Waldo loves to travel. He's been to all sorts of places and met all sorts of people. He's met so many different people that not everyone can even agree on his name. Wally, Charlie, Hetty, Valley, Effie, Hugo, Hetty, Waldo? He's got a different name all over the world and won't show up in some system if Boba Fett just decides to put in Waldo. Adding this to the fact that he has so many lookalikes, it will seem as if there are 20 different clones of the same person existing at one time. And in terms of the scenario presented by the Honorable Judge K. Mulcairn, we must take into account the motivations of Boba Fett. For example, he once mentioned that he preferred working for the Empire because the Empire brought order and stability to the galaxy, whereas the rebel scum brought chaos. To Boba Fett, order is always preferable to chaos. He's got a hard-on for chasing chaos causers. The man collects bounties, and he likes the danger. We all saw his glee at shooting those stupid laser cannons in those stupid movies that shall not be named. What point or interest would there be in catching some goofy dude who is oppressively cheerful and likes to wave at everything? I think Fett would rather pursue a notorious criminal that may or may not have relocated an Imperial Star Destroyer to her personal collection. We've also seen that Carmen has a bit of an ego, constantly saying that she will get away with her thievery and that she can avoid capture, which of course she doesn't. She underestimates Acme agents and players and puts herself out there, like with those stupid little notes she likes to leave. Carmen is known for stealing things, not for staying hidden.
That is the shiniest bullshit I've seen in a long time.
Gilded.
Team Carmen Sandiego, where the hell are you now?
Carmen Sandiego was once a brilliant detective in service to the Acme Detective Agency, the best detective that they had working for them, in fact. She was so good and so much smarter than everyone else around her that catching criminals became boring for her. So instead, she decided to become one herself, and Carmen Sandiego is now the greatest criminal in the world. And she doesn't do it for wealth or power. She pulls off the craziest and most nonsensical thefts in the history of crime just to prove that she can. The only thing left in the world that can challenge her amazing mind is doing stuff like, say, stealing the rings off of Saturn. And this crimson-clad crook doesn't commit crimes companionless. She has drafted the most depraved and dangerous do-batters in the world into Vile, the Villains International League of Evil, a group whose members include not just superpowered criminals and super technology inventors, but also actual wizards with actual magic and aliens. And in terms of technological talent, now this is where Carmen really shines. Just as an example of the tech utilized by Vile, Carmen is seen being able to hijack every TV in the world and broadcast a message on all channels simultaneously, and she also has a device that can fire information into the minds of her minions to instantly transfer large amounts of knowledge into them by using info beams. That's like shit right out of the Matrix.
One of these characters is kind of hard to spot because he's really into Canada's color scheme. The other one is history's greatest crime lord who once stole the Portuguese language. Boba Fett is a practical guy. He's going to look at the variables and quickly determine that he could either spend weeks of time and gallons of space fuel to try and hunt down the latest clue to the place Carmen might have been yesterday, or just find Waldo in about the time it would take to read a picture book and be dining on fried smuggler in Jabba's palace by sundown. Beating the Carmen Sandiego games requires puzzle-solving detective skills and usually some knowledge of the history and geography of planet Earth. Boba Fett is a great bounty hunter, but he isn't really a detective or a puzzle solver. Finding Waldo, on the other hand, requires, well, having eyes, basically. The power of sight is pretty much the only prerequisite, along with the ability to pick one object out from a group of similar-looking objects. The only time we ever see Boba Fett hunting someone in the Star Wars movies is when the Millennium Falcon escapes the Empire under cover of a trash dump, and Fett sees it and follows it to Cloud City. Now what Fett is doing here is picking one object out from a group of similar-looking objects. In other words, from what we know of Boba Fett's skill set, he would totally own the Where's Waldo books. The Carmen Sandiego games, though? Does Boba Fett know the capital of Iceland? Can he decipher the clues necessary to determine that Carmen Sandiego was last seen in Papua New Guinea in 1865? It's not like Slave 2 has Wi-Fi capacity, and even if it did, I'm pretty sure Google Translate doesn't have an option for Arabesh. In contrast, is it really a stretch to think that Boba Fett has access to, say, facial recognition technology? That would basically be it for Waldo. A quick, purely visual contest will always be easier than a long-term thinking man's game, and Boba Fett is all about that efficiency. He'll set his ship's sensors to red and white doofus and leave Carmen to steal the international dateline. I mean, just a cursory analysis of his target should be enough to convince Fett which direction to turn here. Carmen is an exceptionally devious opponent, leading her pursuers on lengthy chases across the globe and through time, while consistently staying 3 or 4 steps ahead of them. Meanwhile, every time we've seen Waldo, and we've seen him lots of times because we find him on every page of the book, or at least I do, I don't know about you, Dan, but I certainly do. He either, as you mentioned, either doesn't know he's being hunted or doesn't care because he's usually looking straight off the page at the reader with a big ol' smile on his face and maybe a jaunty wave. Carmen bounces around from place to place and time to time so much that she's almost never seen by those chasing her. Waldo just uses a magic walking stick to go to fun vacation spots and, chills out at the beach or a mall or an Egyptian pyramid or something. Waldo has no sense of what it takes to hide from a ruthless, determined adversary. Even in his own animated series, he doesn't jump through space and time because he's running from someone. He does it because he thinks it would be fun. Carmen Sandiego has years of experience evading the best detectives Earth has to offer. For Waldo, though, this shit just got real for the first time in his life, and you can bet that Fett will smell his fear from light years away.
Carmen never commits a crime the same way twice, and though she's always in the same outfit, she's never seen using the same escape vehicle twice in the animated series Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego. She has her tiny backpack that can sprout wings and turn into a jetpack/glider, a rocket-powered motorcycle that can turn into a plane, a VTOL jet that can hover in place and deploy a cable for her to grab for a quick getaway, a la Batman's Skyhook from the film The Dark Knight. And oh yeah, did we mention time travel? Because she invented time travel. In the television series Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego, it is stated that Carmen Sandiego herself invented time travel so that she could travel back in time to commit crimes all throughout history, making her now not just the greatest criminal in the world, but the greatest criminal in history. She can teleport anywhere in time and space with the push of a button, making her incredibly frustrating to chase down in the final level of the point-and-click adventure game Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. Compare this to Waldo, who in the Where's Waldo animated series is revealed not to be a master hider or escape artist, but instead a Mr. Magoo-esque, guileless do-gooder who regularly stumbles face first into mortal danger. Now, mind you, over the course of the series, he typically ends up just fine, but that doesn't actually say much for him. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you with survivor's bias, aka the Casanova fallacy, which states that a stupid decision that works out well does not now become a brilliant decision in hindsight. We have a tendency to hear stories from people who have survived ridiculous circumstances despite making dumb decisions, because those people are now here to tell the tale. Others who made the same decisions but did not fare so well are now forgotten by history. As an example, Steve Jobs dropped out of college to found Apple. This was probably a bad decision, but it worked out for him. So it looks like a good decision in retrospect, but it was not. Remember, kids, stay in school.
Stay in school,
And
you
cut off
little
your
shits.
plastic shit. Can't emphasize this enough.
And pull up your pants.
And only do full loads of laundry, according to Captain Planet. Don't waste water. Waldo has done a bunch of really dumb stuff over the course of the animated series, like feed ice cream to a dragon as a way of convincing it to not eat him. This was a terrible decision, and it happened to work out for him, but it's just because Waldo has some random-ass luck. He had a nice string of random-ass luck working for him over the course of the 13-episode animated series, but that was only 13 episodes. For all we know, in the never-seen episode 14, he tried to defeat a Gorgon by, challenging it to a staring contest, and that's why we never got a season 2. Boba Fett will nab that vacuous, variegated vagrant in less than a New York parsec, leaving our scarlet swaddled stealer to skedaddle scot-free. So sorry, Waldo. You didn't win today, but as a consolation prize, you'll get a year's subscription to National Geographic World, an official Acme Crime Watch, and an eternity of torment frozen in stone as Jabba the Hutt's favorite new decoration.
Oh my
well,
God,
at
really?
least now you'll be solid brown in a dark room, so maybe for once you'll actually be difficult to spot.
2 carbonite jokes. Ugh.
All right, very good. I think you've made my job very difficult. Both sides. Team Waldo. Gonna let that shit slide?
No, absolutely. Absolutely we are not.
No, you intend to
Heck
counter
yeah.
it with more
Are
shit.
you going to talk about discount time travel?
Oh man.
Oh boy, let the cow pie fly.
Oh gosh. This is not bullshit. This is stated actual fact. Carmen Sandiego may have a certain degree of global mobility that's beyond that of an average citizen, but she still has to obey the laws of physics. Waldo, though, has a magical walking stick that allows him to traverse time and space. That's not only beyond Carmen Sandiego, that's beyond freaking Boba Fett, whose ship is capable of light speed travel. Boba Fett can't chase Waldo if he goes into another dimension.
I'm sorry. Carmen Sandiego is obligated to obey the laws
Yeah.
of physics.
Stole the Portuguese
which
language.
is why she stole the Milky Way
she's not
galaxy.
trying to steal
once.
something.
And
She's
all the
trying to
world's supply
escape.
of bristlecone pine trees.
You just said that she has to obey the laws of
When she
physics.
travels,
That's
she
not
does.
true.
In addition, the walking stick can transform into a variety of tools. It's even exhibited a degree of intellect and awareness, so Waldo will be twice as likely to be able to spot Boba Fett trying to sneak up on him. And in addition to that, you guys mentioned that Carmen Sandiego has some spellcaster friends. One of Waldo's friends is Wizard Whitebeard, an actual high-level magic user who, among other things, can manipulate time itself.
Do we know anyone, Colin, who can manipulate
Interesting,
time itself?
Interesting. Can manipulate.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Who can
interesting.
do that?
I guarantee
Time.
you
It's funny.
that Waldo and his friends can manipulate time better than Carmen Sandiego can, because Carmen Sandiego has never traveled into the future. whereas Waldo absolutely has. Waldo is not bound by the needs of a PBS station that needs to be educational.
Future past.
Future past.
Star Wars.
And not to mention, you talked about her followers. There's a reason why all her vile followers are called henchmen, because they're stupid. And the one thing you want to do when you know someone has a bunch of followers is capture one of those followers. And since I've already established that they're stupid, Boba Fett can capture one of them, interrogate them, and follow the literal paper trail that Carmen Sandiego frequently leaves, extract info from her henchmen, and again, follow the literal breadcrumb trail that she leaves everywhere she goes.
Except all that they're gonna find out is that, like, she was last seen in the birthplace of Lyndon Johnson. And is Boba Fett gonna know what that means?
I think
I think you're underestimating the capacity for Boba Fett to know what an encyclopedia is and look it up. And you better believe that Google Translate will translate frickin' Arabic.
Yeah, if it can translate Klingon, I think it'll be just fine.
Well, you have to understand
Space
English
language,
to get it
bitch.
to translate.
Also, Google Translate is shit, guys.
But it's so
It's
cool
terrible.
in concept. All right.
Well, the other thing I was
so-
going to say is, yeah, you are correct that maybe he could look it up if he also then, was able to translate the languages into something that he could read. But in, like, the time that it takes a small child to answer the question, be like, where is Lyndon Johnson's birthplace? Oh, Texas. Hey, she's already gone. By the time that Boba Fett puts it together, having to do all that research and everything, I mean, she's going to have committed, like, 3 more crimes.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that you say that Carmen has to follow the laws of physics when she travels and Waldo does not. That's true, I guess, except that Carmen is never there when you show up, no matter how, like, close behind her you are. She seems to have some sort of uncanny ability to always be one step ahead of you. And to treat the magic walking stick like it's some kind of quick getaway device. Colin, how long does it take him to draw his little
Kind of
circle
well, it's
on the
in
ground?
the air. Not as
I'm going to
fast
guess probably less time than it takes Carmen to, like, run to an escape device.
I'm
Well,
gonna
okay,
guess
so
not.
I watched that cartoon.
Because-
There's always like a cable descending from the sky at the right moment for her to get pulled up to. And you said she was not able to leave decoys and Waldo was. We see in the cartoon actually that the police are chasing after a plane and it crashes and they like go into the wreckage to pull it out and they only pull out a decoy. And we see that the original Carmen walked away on foot and the plane that she sent off was a decoy. Even though you see her like getting into the plane, somehow she's like not there anymore. It like doesn't make any sense. But yes, she can also
Okay.
send decoys.
But she has
Right.
no physical copies
Not
of herself.
bound by laws of physics.
So you guys keep talking about how she's an amazing thief and how she's able to pull off these unbelievable acts of thievery. The worst thing that she could do at this point would be to enact a huge crime that would draw attention to herself from Acme Investigations. Because Boba Fett has a history of tracking his prey by piggybacking on other people's investigations of his target. And so the bigger the crime that Sandiego perpetrates, the bigger the target she'll be painting on herself. I ask you to envision this scenario. Imagine that Boba Fett is standing in Jabba's palace. He just walks back in from, another successful bounty run. All of the little bounty hunters are wanting to know how it went. Do you think he would rather say, A, oh, I picked up some little poor bespectacled schlub who never did anything to anyone and will probably quickly be forgotten, or B, I picked up the greatest criminal in history, as you yourself said?
Dude, Boba Fett
Wait,
doesn't care. Boba Fett is not about the challenge. Boba Fett is
Why
about
do you
the
guys keep
money.
bringing up Jabba? That is not who paid them.
Well,
Don't ignore my opening.
No. This is afterwards. This is after he collects his bounty, which, as we've established, is equal. So I would say that all other things being equal, he's going to go for the one with the bigger payout, or with the bigger honor to it, and the bigger bragging rights.
No, he's going to go with the one that's
Okay, so
easier
he'll
to
go for the one
catch.
who can't travel through space and time with a walking stick. Okay, yeah, that makes
The
sense.
one who can do it with a remote control. It doesn't matter.
All right, Team Carmen, get feistier somehow.
So, first of all, you mentioned the fact that Carmen would be easier to spot in a crowd. Carmen's not going to be there in the crowd because she's not an idiot. She's not there when you're looking for her. Waldo is the one who hangs out in crowds, not Carmen Sandiego. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that you keep talking about how she leaves a paper trail, she leaves clues and all this stuff. So, Carmen became a criminal because she was so desperate for a challenge that she wanted to be the one perpetrating the crimes rather than the one catching the perpetrators. If you're going to argue that Waldo becomes even more difficult to find when he's trying, then I would argue that Carmen leaves clues for Acme to kind of help them along. And maybe this time they'll actually catch her, because otherwise it'd be so fucking boring. The minute a legitimate challenger shows up that might actually catch her, she's gonna
How
stop
would she
doing that
even
shit.
know that, though? Her whole thing.
I don't know. How would Waldo
her
know
whole
he was
thing
being
is
hunted?
Underestimation of whoever's chasing her. How's she gonna know that Boba Fett's a legitimate challenge?
You keep talking about how Carmen is always one step ahead and how she's never there when you get there. I've caught her a number of times in those video games. And I will say, like, it takes a few steps to get there, but it's very doable. She's not impossible to catch.
Well, I see Waldo on every page.
Because you're
so what's
Waldo's
your
friend.
point?
Because he wants you to see him. And yet it takes you, like,
No,
so long
I'm not
to
Waldo's
see him.
friend. That motherfucker is an asshole. No, we're not friends. We're not friends, all right? We had a fucking falling out quite some time ago.
Miles,
Waldo and I,
is going
trust
to
me.
listen
He
to this.
seems like a
Do you know
nice
what
guy.
this will do to him?
He seems like a nice guy. He will stab you in the back.
Miles, when you did the Waldo books, when you found him, did you just etch him out with a pen? You just fucking
That
cut him
motherfucker,
out.
I
and
got
Etch
you.
him out. I used a
Wait,
knife.
you etched him out
I
with a
used a
pen?
knife.
Now you really can't see him?
I cut his face out of the page and I have it on my
You
wall.
have one of those creepy rooms with just a bunch of Waldo faces on the wall.
Oh, that's really disturbing.
Let's
Well, yeah,
move
just
on
if
now.
you want to
If
talk
we
about
could, let's.
within her own world, whether or not Carmen has a reputation for escaping or for getting caught, at the end of each episode of the live-action game show Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, if the players fail to catch her, which in every episode that I watched they did, I understand that that's just like a random sampling, but I never saw them catch Carmen, just saying. There's like a little newspaper headline pops up that says, Carmen escapes again, and then instead of a photo, there's like a little silhouette of
Again.
her. So like it's like, that's like the newspaper headline. Carmen escapes again. Another example can be seen in, I believe it was the second episode of the Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego show. At the beginning, Carmen is in Stonehenge, surrounded by a whole bunch of cops, and they say, hold on, let me bring up the quote.
If she escapes, that means that she was caught at one point, whereas
Well,
the
hold on.
Waldo books never assume that you actually were able to find Waldo in previous installments.
One sec. She says, so a bunch of cops have her cornered in Stonehenge, and they say,
ridiculous argument I have ever heard in my life.
they have her cornered in Stonehenge, and they say, you can't steal Stonehenge with all of Scotland Yard watching. What do you have to say to that? And then all of Stonehenge sinks into the ground and vanishes, as does Carmen Sandiego, and she says, I say, cheerio.
That would be
is
great
it.
if she
Yeah.
was trying to steal something. She's not. She's trying to get away from Boba Fett.
The point is that she is incredibly intelligent, has incredible access to much more advanced technology than Waldo does. I don't give a fuck about your magic walking stick. And she is an internationally renowned crime lord. When you
With
talk
tons
about
of information
Waldo,
on her.
I don't
Not
think
really.
Acme's the only organization that has what I'm sure is a phone book sized file on her. You know, Interpol, Scotland Yard,
on her
FBI.
backstory, because the whole thing about Carmen is that nobody knows
Actually,
her
we do. It's that
backstory.
she used to be an agent.
She's a
That's-
complete
no,
mystery.
sorry, Miles.
What? No, it changes
Oh, yeah?
every time, dude. It's either a mystery or it changes
everyone
every
kno-
time. No one
Everyone
actually
knows she's
it.
attracted to huge landmarks, to huge pieces of history, and as I said before, make a hologram of something that she'd be interested in, and she'll fall right into the trap. She can't help
Boba
herself.
Fett doesn't roll that way. Boba Fett doesn't roll that way, and you're making assumptions about Carmen Sandiego's personality. She is not that sloppy of a thief. You guys also mentioned the fact, Dan, you were talking about how, she's going to commit some huge crime while she's hiding from Boba Fett. That's kind of ridiculous, and I don't know
Because
why
she's
she
got
would
an
do
ego.
that. Because again, the point of this is hiding. The point of this is not stealing, as you mentioned.
Yeah, but
Flaw.
the Kyber crystal is on display in the Louvre. I mean, she could. You know,
She's already got it.
Well,
Well, no,
if
'cause the
Boba
Kyber
Fett
crystal
gets
is
too
from-
close on
no,
her
'cause-
trail, she's just going to time travel back into the days of Star Wars and steal the invention of blasters. And then Boba Fett's going to have 28 minutes before the time portal closes, and that history becomes locked, and he loses his blaster forever.
Yeah, Carmen Sandiego is fucking devious as all hell. Waldo? Not so much. Not if the animated series is any indication. Devious is not how he rolls. I don't think that all of a sudden, once he knows he has to hide from someone, he suddenly turns into a stealth mastermind or, gains like a bunch of points in the stealth skill, to use an RPG reference, drink a shot. That's not how it happens. We're dealing with one of the most experienced, intelligent, again, devious people on the face of the planet
And actually-
and throughout history.
The other thing was, you occasionally actually do see him trying to hide from people in the Where's Waldo TV series. There was this weird thing where there would be like a big crowd scene or something, and then it would freeze frame for like a minute, and then you'd have to try to spot Waldo. And there was a couple times where the justification for that was that he was trying to hide from someone, and you can see like he's actually like always peeking out and kind of looking at the viewer with a dumb smile on his face, like, huh, I'm doing such a good job hiding. He could just like lower his head another foot and be totally unseen.
Jesus, I hate you guys.
We hate each other more.
Guys, is it just me, or did it get really dark really fast?
It's funny because it's dark and everything, and I can still
Yeah,
see
it's
Waldo.
weird.
He's right over there.
No,
I don't know
that's a
what
fern.
happened.
That is a fern.
Nope, that's
a
Waldo.
red
I
and
can
white
see his
fern.
grinning
It's a
ass
red and
smug
white fern.
face.
Oh no. It's the
The lightning round.
That'll have to suffice.
That's good.
Yeah, I
That
don't
was-
think they could hear
funny.
that over the lightning sound effect.
Just like up the volume for that one bit. Can't you do that, Miles? Can't you
I
up
could,
it and then
but
like
I'm going to.
reverberate it as though it was?
The thing about it is that I found over the course of this podcast that I can do lots of things with editing. The one thing that I can't do is make Liz get in line with how I need things to sound.
What is it that Katrina called Liz? Like a force of nature?
Something like that, yeah.
Can't be controlled.
Yeah.
You can only hope to survive it.
It's long past sunset, and Boba Fett has expertly pursued the two marks in such a way as to successfully corral them into the same general area, a secluded and dense, fog-covered forest. Although Carmen and Waldo separately seem to lose the bounty hunter, they both eventually happen upon strange notes. Carmen finds hers in a bathroom complex. With hastily scrawled handwriting, it reads, "Always watches, no eyes." Waldo finds his note attached to a tree that reads, "Don't look, or it takes you." Immediately after reading the notes, the fog seems to increase, and the two are overcome with the dread that they are constantly being watched and followed by someone, or something, other than Boba Fett. As they walk through the forest more quickly, happening across more notes, they begin to see glances of what appears to be a very tall, slender man, dressed in a black suit with a completely blank white face. They are obviously being pursued by this entity, and the longer they look at it, the more their heads seem to spin and their vision blurs. It is obvious they are now being hunted by something far worse than a bounty hunter. Carmen's technology lacks all reception, and Waldo's walking stick only appears to take him within the bounds of the forest. This is no longer about running for their freedom. Carmen and Waldo are now running for their lives. Team Carmen, how in the world will you escape alive?
Carmen has basically seen already that whenever she meets a weird, evil person or vile entity, she could get it to work for her, because it seems like just about every, villainous
good
thing
luck.
that she meets instantly falls in line, including, as we mentioned, space aliens, magic users, monsters, all sorts of crazy stuff. So, I mean, I think by the end of a quick little conversation, Slenderman's going to be working for her.
Here's what Carmen Sandiego, again, master at what she does, will do in this scenario. The Slender Man is almost a mythological character at this point, if we consider the ideas of folklore and mythology to, in modern context. Carmen has stolen mythological things before.
Such bullshit.
Most notably, she has stolen the abominable snowman. She's stolen, Sherlock Holmes, things like this. So what's going to happen is, and as we mentioned before, Carmen is known for leaving little notes of her own. So she is actually going to out Slenderman, the Slender Man. She will start leaving notes in kind of the same style, but with a little bit different of an edge to it, and just confuse the guy, basically lead him on his own chase, play him at his own game, and eventually walk away with him as a prize.
How do you guys
That's kind of the
Oh, yeah.
ultimate crime for her to steal Slenderman at this point. And I feel like she's like,
Yeah.
man, and as we see, pulling off stealing something is never the issue. I mean, sometimes the Acme crew gets on her tail and she has to abandon the loot in order to get away, so she doesn't always get to keep the loot. But stealing it in the first place is always a foregone conclusion.
How do you guys plan on either talking to it or stealing it if looking at it and getting close to it basically will spell your doom?
Well, I mean, we see Carmen does a lot of corresponding with people over leaving notes and that kind of thing. I mean, she has this weird relationship
She's
with
gonna
the
lead it
player
into a-
character in the Carmen Sandiego TV show that they're like kind of like talking in like a chat room, and it's I don't know, I'm sensing some weird sexual tension there, even though it's like a 13-year-old boy. I don't know. And maybe it's just me. Maybe it was just me because
What
I
she's
had the
gonna
hots for
do-
Carmen Sandiego
And
at that age myself.
Slenderman is
But-
now more disturbing.
What she's gonna good job, Colin. Didn't think that was possible. What she's gonna do is lead a trail of notes, and he's gonna be intrigued because who the fuck leaves notes for the Slender Man? They're gonna be in kind of her standard, like alliterative clue-like fashion that Colin referenced in his open. And at the bottom of each will be a tiny scrawl of a small figure in glasses and a red and white cap. So what this will do is this will make Slenderman extremely paranoid, and if he sees Waldo, he's gonna fucking murder him right off the bat. But where these notes are gonna lead is into a technological booby trap so she won't actually have to look at him or get near him at all. She will lead him right into one of her pieces of tech that will do
Everyone
the
in the world
trapping
is afraid of the Slenderman, but by the end of this, Slenderman will fear the Red Woman.
All hail galore.
Wow, I mean, good job bullshitting right back to Team Waldo there. Team Waldo, how do you hide from that which sees without eyes?
Okay, so when Kit first read this out, to be honest, I think Waldo would fucking lose. He would die at the end of this night. He would wave at Slenderman and make solid eye contact as he does in his books, and Slenderman would hug him and he would die. But then I thought, Waldo's a fun-loving dude. He's cheery and he's happy. And you said that he has a stick that will teleport him in various places in the forest. So I think this is going to become the most epic game of hide and seek. Waldo loves to hide, and he loves to, say hello to the friends that like to find him. So he's going to think Slenderman is his exceptionally skinny and creepy looking friend. He's going to hide somewhere with his stick, and Slenderman's going to creep up on him, and then Waldo's going to be like, "Ha, you found me!" Teleport, and he's going to be somewhere else and wait for Slenderman to come get him. Epic game of hide and seek. And this will just go on for all eternity because Waldo's never aged either. But he won't die, so there's that.
I have to respectfully disagree with you, Liz. I think 100%.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think 100% Waldo's getting out of this one, and I can think of several extremely concrete reasons why this is so. First of all,
sure
this is
you
basically
can.
a horror movie scenario, and in horror movies, let's compare the character of the morally loose woman with the character of the wide-eyed innocent. Of those two, who is more likely to survive the monster attack?
God.
That's point number one. Point number two,
Ugh.
the very first picture of Slenderman that was ever released showed a picture of several children playing around, and if you look really closely, you can see Slenderman lurking in the background. Slenderman has a very distinct kinship with Waldo, who hides in plain sight in otherwise normal pictures. Now, Waldo's are a bit busier, I'll grant you, and a bit more colorful, but the Slenderman recognizes a kindred spirit when he sees him, and will be much more interested in Carmen. Because, and this is point number 3, if Carmen thinks she can steal Slenderman, she is out of her mind, and in fact will literally be out of her mind. All of Carmen's evasion techniques are predicated on the fact that she's already committed a crime, which she presumably has planned out beforehand, and has thus planned out the escape route afterwards. She is in a situation where she has to improvise, which is not a situation she often finds herself in. Waldo is completely in his element, where he has someone trying to find him in a big area. Carmen is going to be running around in a blind panic, wondering where her men are, wondering if she can steal Slenderman, when all of a sudden, it's going to be right behind her.
Oh yeah, Slenderman's really that much harder to steal than, let's see.
The Portuguese language!
Just the salt from the Dead Sea, every last drop of salsa,
Every last...
the ionosphere from Triton, the Gobi Desert,
All
of the hummingbirds,
out of all of those-
Hashtag Dan's list.
sumo wrestling, I'm sorry, yeah, the Dan list is still going on, thank you. Sumo wrestling, tattoos off people's body,
One
the
body?
Earth's core, the voices of a boys,
Miles,
boys choir, the gladiators from Rome, Haiti, Pompeii, the potato, the patent office, electricity, and the concept of zero.
Miles. Listen, I love a good Dan list
sorry.
as much as the next person.
No.
Of those things that
Hashtag
you listed,
Dan list.
and Slenderman, Which of those has sent Liz Logan into a screaming fit in recent memory?
I'll bet if we talk enough about the concept of zero, I can do
Sumo
it.
wrestlers? Is it sumo wrestlers?
Which of those things will be actively trying to kill Carmen Sandiego?
I will ask
A
as the,
potato.
as,
Potato.
as the
The
judge.
forest. Oh, the forest.
The
potato.
Incan road system, the
All
North
right,
Star.
Carmen,
The
though.
sharp forest.
Okay, nobody knows about how much you love the Irish accent, Liz. Hold on to those. Has Carmen dealt with anything sort of mind-breaking before?
Was stealing all of those things that we mentioned not the sort of thing that would drive H.P. Lovecraft insane if he heard of any
Yeah.
of them?
Yeah.
I don't know. The zero one's
Carmen
pretty
was-
crazy.
Carmen woke up one morning and she was like, you know what I should do? I should steal the black hole at the center of the galaxy today. Carmen's mind does not work the way
Yeah, I
anyone
think she
else's
already-
mind works. She has gone there
I
and
think she has
come
gone
back.
past the point of any sort of madness, in order to be able to come up with this crazy stuff.
Oh man! On that note of Carmen of Tindalos, apparently, I'm gonna go. Fucking try and figure this shit out. I might be gone forever. I might actually have to travel back in time to give myself more fucking time to figure this out. But no, the entire time I'm gone, I'm going to be really scared of being by myself because I just spooked myself with this fucking Slenderman shit. Goodbye forever, guys.
What's the "Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? You're Thinking About It" theme song? It's like the boom, 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 boom. Gonna think about. Anyway,
I can't
Yeah.
actually think anymore. That power is lost to me now. Because apparently Waldo bends the universe
Look, you
to his
explain
will.
it, man. Like, you explain why every time he shows up, everything around him is red and white and looks an awful lot like him, despite the fact that he's in, like, dinosaur times or, like, hanging out with Alibaba. It's like there's just Waldos everywhere. I don't make the rules, but Wally definitely breaks the rules.
When you call him Wally now? Oh.
go back to communist England.
Oh my god, will you stop?
Yeah. One of the other quotes that I got that I really liked, I was trying to find a way to work this in, is one of the things that the chief says at the beginning of each episode is, Carmen's gang is bankrolled by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and viewers like you. Which I enjoy a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I want that to actually be the truth of it, that
Oh my god.
Carmen Sandiego is funded by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and viewers like you.
I care more about this match because I was such a huge fan
Oh,
of these
yeah.
games when I was a kid. The Where
Oh,
in
yeah.
Time
So-
show? Oh,
I remember me and Dan
Such a
so much
huge
that
part of
growing
my
up.
childhood.
I that was the sort of show you rush home to watch and would be sad to miss for me. Was
Yeah.
Where in Time is
100%. We also had
Yeah.
the Where in Time computer game, which was so good. That was basically my
Yeah,
intro
yeah.
to adventure games, like point and click puzzle adventure games. It was so good.
did you have the language one where she goes to the Tower of Babylon and makes it so that nobody can
Was that
communicate
like a
with each
language
other?
learning? No,
That
I
was a
never played
language
that
one, yeah. The math one, I believe, is the one where she steals the concept of zero, but I'm not sure.
We also had Where in the USA is Carmen Sandiego, and the thing about those
Oh, yeah.
games is a lot of the clues and stuff would be provided in game, but there was always some clues that you needed the book that came with the game in order to solve.
Yeah.
And we lost the book for Where in the USA is Carmen Sandiego. So there are so many
Oh, no.
crimes in that game that I just did not solve because I would just be like, I don't know, St. Louis, maybe?
They had a really cool
Oh,
book
yeah.
series
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
too.
So
This
I'm
was-
curious,
those
have
were
we ever
great.
had a character that has been in, and I mean, and you can include Waldo in this a little bit as well, because Carmen Sandiego had not only a book, she's had video games and a game show and an animated series.
Yeah.
It's
Waldo has been in comics.
TV
He was in
show.
books. He had a TV show.
Waldo is
also
actually
video
hiding in
games.
every single book ever written. It's just that he's not hiding in his own books. Yeah,
I love how in
Listen,
character you are for
I've
this.
drank my own Kool-Aid on this one, man. I think it's 100% true.
Liz was so creeped out with the Slender Man that she's like, "Yeah, Waldo doesn't have a chance." And you're like, "No,
Yes.
this is why he
I
does."
turned it around. Like I said, he may not die. I mean, he won't die, but he may never escape. But that's good enough for me. Hide and seek is
Best
fun,
you can
right?
hope for against
I enjoy,
I didn't think
Teleporting
it's
around
fun.
like Nightcrawler, drawing.
that could
his
be some
circles
sort
in
of
the air.
actual odd heaven for Waldo and for the Slender Man. They complete each other, and they just neither of them ages, and they live in this forest forever. One continually seeking, and the other continually hiding, and That's beautiful. Yeah.
I think it's frankly this match is unfair to Boba Fett.
For sure. He didn't know what
This
he
is
got
just
himself
not
into.
like I was doing research for this. I was like, dude, Boba's never going to find
Yeah, he
either
kind
of
of
these
sucks
people.
as a bounty hunter.
He
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, he
sucks.
does.
Period.
One other
Is
thing that I
this-
didn't get a chance to say is that in the TV show, which I watched, the theme song, it goes, "Where's Waldo? Where's Waldo? There he is." And I was like, oh,
That's
that's take
right.
long. Like, that's what the theme song is.
No.
Hey, Kit.
How's it going, Kit?
Always.
You okay there,
close.
kid?
Ugh.
I'm gonna go ahead and declare us the winner because Kit's mind is apparently broken. So there you go. Congratulations,
Huh?
us.
Well, the only way you will be declared the winner is
Kit,
if
is
her
there
mind
static?
is broken.
Is
So
there
yeah,
static?
yes.
Please tell me there's no static.
I'm good now. It's visual static, not audio.
It still
But this
sounds
is an
bad.
audio medium. There's no visuals. In a
Yeah,
pod.
so we're safe.
we have to make do. So we'll never see him coming.
You
Ugh.
will hear like a loud piano noise
Yeah,
that like increasing. Anyway,
Who would have thought that the Carmen Sandiego versus Waldo episode would turn out to be like our creepiest one ever?
Ugh.
you're welcome. Is what I'll do. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I just found a weird note in our bathroom. All right, so this was a god fucking. I hate you all. I had to go back in time for and spend the rest of my basically the rest of my lifetime trying to figure this out. And then I had to do some weird time bullshit where I went back to like current life stage me and somehow switch minds. And don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You wouldn't understand. This is definitely some BS. And I had to immediately cut out the garbage about both of you guys traveling through time because I don't think Boba could deal with that. So let's just not even worry about that on either
Poor Boba.
side. I think what it eventually came down to is both of you guys made the argument that your characters, even though they seem to like being obvious, they apparently will serious the fuck up once they realize Boba Fett's not a child. Looking at for them.
Not an 8-year-old child's trying to find them. This like an
Yes. So on that, I think I'm gonna have to say that the one who would actually do a better job staying away from Fett's weird helmet eyes is Waldo.
Yes.
I think
What?
I
Yes.
think he's more of an enigma, and Carmen kind of leaves like there's a lot more info. Yeah, she's a mystery, but she leaves more on her than Waldo. Yeah, like I
Did you
said,
not hear Boba Fett spotting the thing in the trash? He saw the Millennium Falcon. He's so good at this.
yeah,
As
but
he dies in the
seriousing the
Sarlacc
fuck up
pit.
and teleporting around the planet is a really good power.
I'm legitimately pissed about this.
You guys, man.
All right, you know what? Never mind. Slenderman's the winner. Fuck you guys.
I was just gonna say, take solace in the fact that I'm still standing here, really creeped out.
Then I feel like the winner. Thank you, Liz.
Oh my god.
That's a bunch of.
How did you? Oh, Dan, I hate
didn't
you.
want to give it to Dan. Trust me.
You guys keep saying that
There's
every
still
time,
time.
and yet every time.
It's because you're such
Yeah.
full of shit. Dun, dun, ah.
Okay, so thank you for listening, guys. It's probably our last podcast because
Yep.
we all hate each other now.
Yeah, I think we're done. I think this is it. I can't handle this shit anymore. You realize you just dealt a massive blow to feminism,
God.
Is
right?
that how it works? What about Wanda and Wilma or whatever the fuck their names are?
Wilma hasn't been seen ever before after her first appearance. So yeah, no, not
Aren't
her.
they like both twins? And didn't he date both of them?
Yeah, but one of them vanished.
Yeah, just like
mysteriously
Waldo
in her past.
Slenderman got her.
I think it was Wilma.
I
Actually,
think that is.
from-
Oh, stop saying
watched-
his name.
I watched several episodes of the Where's Waldo TV show, and I do not believe it passes the Bechdel test. Unlike Carmen Sandiego, which does right off the bat. And
That's right. That's right.
when Carmen Sandiego's talking to the character of Ivy, played by Jennifer Hale in the first episode, who is one of the two detectives that's chasing after her. Just saying. So Kit hates women.
You know, I'm
She
really
does hate
not.
women.
Okay, I'm not
Yeah.
sorry. Nope.
I'm just
Waldo
kidding with you.
definitely wins. I'll leave some shitty fucking notes next time I'm over to your place. Thank you all for listening. Next week, Professor Hubert J. Farnsworth versus Rick Sanchez.
Smash Fiction is produced by Miles Schneiderman, with logo design by Colin Mulcairn.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod for our theme song, which is called Hitman. You can find his work at www.incompetech.com.
You can follow the Smash Fiction Podcast on Twitter at SmashFicPodcast and search for us on Facebook and Tumblr.
Subscribe on iTunes, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight.
Oh my god, this isn't Slender Man, is it?
But don't fuck edit that shit out! Oh my god! Okay, can we just stop for a second?
No! No! Please, no!
I fucking wanted to say ahead of time, if you know what this is, do not call it out. But I was and Dan was like, I don't think anyone's gonna call it out.
No one's ever called it out before, even when they knew what it was. Of course, Liz. Chaos. We got this, Liz. We got this.
Anyway.